We're in a freezing cold parking lot.
Oh my God, it's so cold.
After watching The Shining on IMAX.
Yeah.
Which was, I think this is the weekend. I think this is the one weekend they've got IMAX, The Shining going on.
I guess
what's the occasion? Is it 45th anniversary?
Is it?
I think that's what it is.
Is it really only 45th? It feels like it'd be older than that. Because it came out in what, 80? I guess 80, right?
Yeah.
It feels like it'd be older. No, that sounds about right. Pretty classic.
Yeah, I guess. So we uniquely saw this in IMAX. So what did you think about this? Well, before I ask that question, how many times have you seen this movie? Is it just the one time?
No, I think I've caught it on TV a few times, and then I did see it one time through, and then since then I probably saw it one other time.
Yeah, so it's something you've seen before.
Yeah, like 3.5, 4 maybe.
Yeah. So just out of curiosity, what did you think about the unique experience of seeing it in IMAX? What was that like?
I think the one thing that I'll say more than anything else that like kind of stands the test of time, again, like videography, like of course it looks way better now because there's just high definition, and I still think it's a great looking film for its age. I will say like the sound design makes it far more terrifying.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I mean, of course it's really loud, and I almost brought earplugs, so like it's going to be loud, but I mean that part of it for me was like the most intense, like noticeable difference for me.
Yeah, like I mean that's a movie that both of us have seen before, so whenever we watched it for me it was like, okay, well what am I going to start like gravitating towards in this rewatch of it? Like and one thing that we'll get to is like the fact that it's in IMAX makes it so some of the details in the film that were hard to see were a lot easier to see.
That's true.
So you got to see Jack Nicholson's pores quite a bit. You got really close to his face, but yeah. I mean, the audio was insane. I guess I didn't have as much of... I kind of took for granted and didn't have as much appreciation for the audio as I did
during IMAX.
Yeah, like, because listening to it was like, oh my God, it
sounds a lot. It just... Maybe, I wouldn't even say better. I mean, it just sounds more like vibrant and like real. Because, again, aside from having the picture be bigger and it feels more in person, of course, these people are massive on the screen, but like the sound being big as well makes a huge difference, I think, in how it comes across. So, yeah, I mean, I thought it was a great experience. I think, I think it's is it worth being told in IMAX like all the or any movie necessarily? Like, not really, but I think you can, if you're an avid movie watcher and you're like if someone's like, go watch Lord of the Rings in IMAX, I'd be like, well, hell yeah. Like,
yeah, right.
Some films don't deserve that, but I was kind of surprised that like hearing this movie be in IMAX was kind of like, oh, I mean, all right, like it's an IMAX, like it's a good movie, but then like when you go into it and like now coming out of it, it's like, wow, that was like a really neat experience.
Yeah, like I totally know what you mean. Like if that movie was in just regular theaters, it would be cool.
Yeah, I'd
like,
still
that's
go
cool.
see it. Yeah.
For it to be in IMAX, I mean, it's funny because it's like in the 70s. Yeah. I don't think IMAX was a thing, so it's weird to see. It's weird to see a movie that's not formatted for they're not using IMAX cameras, and I will say that like there are parts of the movie in which it kind of hurt them a little bit, like that they're not using an IMAX camera, but they're showing it on IMAX format. Like one thing that stood out to me that was a little messy was the intro sequence. You know, when they're like have the helicopter view. Yeah. For some reason, it just kind of felt a little strange.
Yeah, I was thinking similarly. Like, I don't know how they upscale it without losing like quality. I don't know. There's probably some technique that's being used, is what I'm guessing. Because I was shocked at how crisp it still. I mean, considering I know it's a little bit blown up, but like I thought it would be like. I mean, what is this film shot in? Like 720? Like. I don't know.
It was shot on like actual, like obviously like film.
Yeah. I don't know what like definition that is. But I think for the most part, I think you would agree, like, it translates pretty well.
Yeah, like, I thought that the IMAX experience for this, I mean, I would agree. I think that, like, you don't need to wait for this movie to be in IMAX. You don't need to go see it specifically in IMAX. I think the IMAX experience kind of enhances parts of the movie and maybe, like, shows some flaws in other parts of the movie.
Yeah.
But I thought that, like, it allowed me to really see up close details of the movie that maybe I would have missed before. Like, I found myself kind of looking at, like, what's in this guy's office? Like, what's in Stuart Ullman's office? What's in what are the records that Scatman Crothers, I can't remember his character, like, what he is listening to, like, you know, what's in the bottom corner, and I don't know, stuff like that. It was just very fun. Yeah, I guess we don't want to go on here. So it was just cool to see that kind of thing.
I totally agree. I think, it was good. It was a good experience. Now, I guess we don't need to talk about the plot too much. I mean, the plot's kind of like not overdone, but it's like,
you've heard it before.
It's done in, like, other movies, like in other, like, you know, like, kind of like callback ways, like even like cartoons.
Yeah, you mean like it's been parodied? Like,
parodied.
Everybody's seen.
Like, here's Johnny, or here's
or the
Freddy
scene,
Fazbear.
Or here's the scene where, like, where Jack Nicholson is having his confrontation. With what's the actress's name?
Duvall.
Yeah, Shelley Duvall. And you've seen that, like, parodied by The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And probably even like Tiny Toons and that kind of thing. Animaniacs.
That's exactly. Yeah, it's done in more than one way. So like, the plot doesn't really need to be spoken for. I will, like, before maybe we get into, like, interpretation, like, a couple things I've noticed about, like, maybe some of the actors and actresses. Like, first of all, if you have the guts, and, you know, nudity in film is like an artistic form. Like, if you have the guts to, like, be nude on film, like, kudos to you, because, like, that's, like, to me, I would never want to do that. But I don't know. I mean, people are, like, professional about it, but it's just, like, having it in IMAX almost makes it, like,
very true.
Kind of a comical thing. But like, how real, I don't know.
I mean, it is interesting because, like, I'm sure that when those women agreed to do those scenes, like, obviously they did it. They did it knowing that the movies, when they were released, were going to be, like, a big deal. They would be in feature films, but, like, here we are in 2025 watching this movie in IMAX, and it's like, talk about, like, a very like, a position of, like, putting yourself, I don't know, like, in a very raw sort of
it's unapologetically, like, in your face, like, and I know nudity feels like it's more commonplace back in, like, older films, because I think a lot of generation, and like my generation and me included, like, I just want to be like like, I just think almost, like, sometimes it's, like, just almost, you know, I guess, like, aside from, like, the movie aspect, as, like I said, like, an art form, but it almost makes me, you know, it makes the like, the teenager me be like, oh my God, boobs, you know, like, almost kind of like that. So, like, again, like, I got to give kudos to, like, people who are willing to put themselves out there like that.
Like, a very humbling, very like,
especially, like,
raw, sort of, like, there's a very specific word I'm looking for that's just, like, I mean, like, literally just going out there and doing something that is incredibly, like, bold and brave to do.
Yeah, especially uncomfortable. Especially in other actors, you know, of course, like, people are looking at you, like, on stage, like, doing this, like, the lighting crew, the camera crew, the sound crew, the director, like, the producer, the actors, you know, so it's very, I don't know. So I thought that was, like, a kind of a neat point. I think I forget who played the young guy. And actually, I wonder what he's doing now. Like, the kid, Danny,
yeah.
I wonder what he's doing now. Well, but, like, his part was so well done.
I mean, speaking of, did you ever see Dr. Sleep?
I did not.
Yeah, that's like the sequel.
Oh, is it?
It's
Is it a Kubrick thing? Like, did he?
No. This was done, like, maybe, I don't even. I'd embarrass myself guessing. I want to say, like, 7 or 8 years ago, something like that.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And it's got Ewan McGregor in it, and to my knowledge, I don't think that the kid who played Danny, I don't think he went on to have a very big career or anything.
Yeah.
But I think he makes sort of a cameo appearance in this movie, which is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think that movie was particularly good. It was kind of interesting. They elaborate a lot more. It's primarily about, like, what is The Shining? Like,
see,
what is the sort of psychic connection?
Yeah, and that's maybe a good segue into, like, you know, maybe talking about the point of the film, I guess, or like the reasons behind certain things occurring. I kind of like, I don't know if I want to watch something like that kind of explains it to me, because, like, then it feels a little spoon-fed. Like,
yeah.
It feels a little bit like, you know, like, well, here's the, you know, to me it's more, I think Kubrick was going for, like, a speculative approach. Like, you only got this information, especially from, like, the chef, you know, kind of telling you what
The Shining is.
The Shining is, right.
Explaining it to Danny.
And kind of like how we interpret it now. So, like, I guess maybe now would be a good time, because do you think that everyone in that film had some connection to, like, the Shining? Like, I kind of felt like that in the beginning. Like, like Jack Nicholson is, like, you know, noticing these things, like, you know, like he talks about, like, the person, like his general manager is like, this happened, and he starts to recall things that, like, the chef told the boy, like, you will see things from the future, you can see things from the past.
Yeah. You know, I think what's interesting is what's his face, the author of the Shining.
Is it a Stephen King?
Stephen King, yeah. Stephen King famously hates this movie, which is interesting.
Really?
And I think a lot of it has to do with kind of what you're talking about, where it's like, I think this movie is very open to interpretation. Yeah. Like, intentionally.
Yeah.
Like, I think totally. Intentionally, like,
yeah.
You know, and in fact, like, in a lot of ways, I don't know. I mean, there is a really out there documentary about people espousing their beliefs about what this movie is, and, like, the references Kubrick's making.
Yeah.
And you know, in my opinion, like, having watched this again for, I don't know, the 10th time, I feel like a lot of this is almost like the intersection of completely different things altogether. Yeah. Like, to me, I feel like The Shining is sort of the way that Danny and Dick are able to communicate without having to use words effectively. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of how they have this sort of premonition style way of looking at the world, and they know things about the world that you just can't know.
Yeah.
But in a lot of ways, I feel like the activity that happens in the Overlook Hotel is, like, completely estranged from it, like, almost has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like it's only because of The Shining that Jack's plans are thwarted.
Yeah.
But the actual events in the Overlook Hotel, I kind of personally feel like they don't have anything to do with The Shining.
There's, like, two different forces.
Like, that's kind of my take.
Yeah. Because then, you know, Wendy's notices those things too, like the butler with his head open, and, like, the guy, the dog mask.
Yeah, the famous, the dog man, or the guy who was after the party in the hotel room. Yeah.
Yeah. So it might be just one of those things where it's, like, referencing past phenomena, but not, like, Shining-esque, which is kind of interesting to me, because, like, you call it The Shining for a reason. Was the book called The Shining?
I think it is.
So to me, it's like maybe Stephen King's interpretation, well, like, you know, authorship of the book maybe explains it a bit differently, where the movie takes a more, like, nuanced approach, I guess.
I think, like, my understanding, and I could be wrong about this, but in the way that The Shining, the movie, is pretty different from the book, is kind of like the way that Annihilation is pretty different from the book.
Yeah.
In that, like, and I kind of like it, because I feel like they all stand on their own. Like, they are, if you like the book, and you're hoping that the movie is telling a faithful interpretation of the book, you're not going to be happy with that. But I like that it's they can be independent things and be independently good of one another.
Yeah, I think that's true. Like the media, like people enjoy different media. It's kind of like Lord of the Rings, like Lord of the Ring book fans, like, a lot has to be weeded out. Like there are so many different plot points in the book than there are in the movies. Well, because of course, what are you going to have, like another 30-hour like movie? Like, one movie's 30 hours, you know what I mean? Because you could do that, but who's going to watch it? So again, you have to like make it for the masses.
Yeah, like I mean, I think when people see that, this was based off of a book, I think they don't realize how hard it is to adapt. Yeah. Well, I mean, books are not written as though they are movies. Mm-hmm. They're written as completely different things. I don't know. I'd be curious to know what your interpretation is. But like, having watched this again and having it fresh in my mind, I kind of feel like there's two entirely different forces that are intersecting. Yeah. It's like you've got the past of the Overlook Hotel. You also, like, I still don't necessarily have a strong interpretation of what's up with Jack and being in the picture.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
In the 1920s.
Yeah. Because, like, the name of the character that bumps into him during that party scene is, like, the killer that killed his two daughters and his wife. And those are, like, physical manifestations that they both see, like, the dad. Oh, actually, everybody in the family sees. Like, Wendy sees, Danny sees the girls and their bodies. And, so it's like, I don't know really if there is like a connection with The Shining, but why is Jack in the picture?
Yeah.
I almost feel like that's like almost a farce, because like, how can he live in the 1920s but also live in the whatever year that was set in the 70s? I'm guessing.
Present day at the time it came out, or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. So 70s. 9, 80. Yeah. So I just don't know. Like I kind of agree. Like there's not some continuity there at all.
Yeah, I mean, like the couple things that always stood out to me about this movie is like, in a lot of movies where characters imagine the past, the movies are usually pretty careful to not let them physically alter the worlds that they're colliding into. So, like, take for instance, the one thing that always stood out to me was when Jack is having this conversation with Grady about how he's failed to take care of his family. Yeah. He's locked in the pantry. And how does he get out of the pantry?
Yeah.
Grady opens the door, like, lets go of the lock.
Yeah.
And a lot of movies, I think, what they would typically do is they would have some real world in fiction reason why the door was unlocked, but
like a rat pushed the lock up, pushed the pin up.
Totally. I mean, like they have all these sort of in fiction reasons so that it's so that they are basically making it concrete that this is all in their head.
Yeah.
But they don't do that in this movie, which is what really throws me. And same thing with the picture.
Yeah, I think it's a really bold adaptation of. I wonder how the book lays it out, which, I'm sure it's a bit. I'm sure there's some, I don't know, maybe a difference of how that happens or whatever. But like, because I think of like these two worlds combined, like there's some type of like quantum, like world swapping, like that. But I guess there's no real answer, and that's fine. And I think Kubrick's point is like there will be no answer. You have to figure that out yourself, or you have to choose to believe what you want to believe.
Yeah, and I mean it's funny because like whenever Jack shows up to the party in the gold ballroom, they acknowledge him. They don't think anything of it.
Yeah.
Like Grady is insistent. He has always been the caretaker. And the other thing about that scene is that Grady's the only person that, besides Lloyd, that talks to him. Everybody else doesn't even give him the time of day. It's like they don't even know that he's there.
Yeah,
which is very weird.
That is interesting. Yeah, I think the you've always been the caretaker thing is kind of like, I don't necessarily think that, like, I do think the story with the girls being killed is true, like, and the guy's wife, and I think that it wasn't done by, Jack's character. But like, how do you interpret what he said? Like, that to me almost feels like that's not a physical reality. Like, he wasn't always the caretaker. I think it's just like psychological stance. Like, you have always been.
Yeah,
like, I mean, this embodiment of an evil person or something.
I think the boring interpretation you could say is like, look, it's Jack, and it is just demonstrating him losing his grip on what's real, what's not real. I mean, like, that's probably true. That's probably one of the interpretations, but I also find it a little boring and a little unfulfilling to think like it's just that simple. Like, I do find it more interesting to talk about, like, what is, what about that picture? Like, why is he in there?
Yeah.
Why? So, I don't know. Like, I've never really had a good answer for that kind of thing. And this is kind of why I like a lot of like Twin Peaks. It's why I like Twin Peaks quite a bit. It's because sometimes it's not so much what's happening, but the way it makes you feel.
Yeah.
And it's like the actual things happening kind of don't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But the way it makes you feel is like the thing that always stuck with me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think one of the questions that I had, maybe you can kind of determine this or like give your input, but like, what was the room 237?
Yeah. Yep.
Like, what about that room is so bad?
I don't know.
Like the part where, I mean, of course the kid gets strangled. Something obviously bad happened, but like, is that where like was this woman in there some type of like demon, or like was she? I mean, she's not like an Indian woman because or Native American because of of her characteristics, and they kind of make this like, well, we built this on an old Indian burial ground. So I was like, maybe that's the tie-in, but of course I don't think it is.
Maybe this is totally wrong. Was 237 where Grady had stayed?
Maybe. Is that like where? Is that I guess that could be his wife.
Yeah, because like at first, when I was rewatching this and just trying to like think about some of those key parts, I was like, okay, is what happened that he and his wife had this fight, and like this is like, one of the things that Dick says to Danny is that part of what The Shining clues you into are these remnants of things that happen. Mm-hmm. It's like leftover stuff that happened after a terrible event. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know if like, okay, is this like, part of me wonders if stuff like that is not a reflection of like something specific that happened in the past. It's not like, oh, well, this woman was doing this thing or is related to that person, but like, did all of that tragedy in the Overlook Hotel leave these artifacts of bad stuff there that people who go to the Overlook Hotel, it manifests differently for them? Because like for Danny, it manifested as somebody who strangled him, like abused him in the way that Jack Nicholson's character abused him. Mm-hmm. And Jack Nicholson's was a little different.
Yeah.
It was a woman, but it wasn't an old woman until he started like, having this like, intimate moment with. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of interpretations for that.
Yeah, I kind of almost feel like it's like what about that? I mean, because Danny saw these manifestations of those girls' bodies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is obviously a very horrific thing. So, I mean, was it because he was physically touched by this entity, we'll call it, or whatever it was, like that he became so affected by it, like, and especially with that, like, I think that his imaginary friend of like this
Tony.
I don't know if it almost feels like a red herring, like, is he involved? Like, and there's obviously some type of sentience, because in the very beginning, Danny's talking to him and says that he'll call soon. And,
he knows things.
Yeah, so it's like, is this like how The Shining manifests within him? Like, did he just give it a name and his name's Tony?
Yeah.
So like, what about in like the Red Rum stuff too? Like, I know because that's when like he says like Danny's not here anymore, or he's gone.
Yeah, it's almost like a possession kind of thing.
Yeah, but then like it almost is like a good. It's like a good thing because like he says like red rum, and then, you know, you find out that it's murder, and like whether it's like Jack's attempt to do this to them, or if it's a recollection of the past. Somehow he snaps out of it though. Like I don't know if it's like being outside in the cold, like woke him up, because like then Danny's using his normal voice when he sees his mom again, and then they take off in the snow cat or whatever it's called.
It was almost like whenever Danny had finally sort of successfully warned his mom, or found a way to communicate to his mom what was about to happen. It was like that moment. It was like, he was back, because you know. That was, he's saying red rum, and then Jack swings the axe at the door, and then all of a sudden it was like, everybody's back. I don't know. I mean, the thing about this movie, and I mean, it's funny because I feel like we could continue to talk about like our interpretations of the movie, because I feel like there's so many different things to think about. There's like the like you said, like the imaginary friend. Is the imaginary friend part of The Shining? Is it like a totally different thing that's against what's happening in The Shining? Like, is it? I mean, it's knowledgeable of the hotel. It's and then the different events of the hotel itself. Like, I guess like one thing I did want to mention is like, I mean, I'd be curious to know how much of The Shining itself has formed the way that you look at horror movies. Because for me, I think this was probably the very first horror movie that I saw that I like really loved. That it was like, it was kind of illuminating for me to see that like a horror movie could be this.
Yeah.
Because I think for a long time it was just like, oh well, horror movies are like slashers, they're this. And that's not to say that there weren't other movies at the time that were out that were doing something more interesting. But like, this is the first movie I remember seeing being like, holy shit, I had no idea that this could be like the kind of movie that a horror movie could be. And I think it like informed a lot of the stuff that I liked since, like games, media, movies, TV series, like books. I don't know, like,
I think it's hard. I guess I gotta have a little different approach, because like I think of it like as like contextually, like it came out as a book before, like so how did the book influence the movie? Like of course the subject matter should be, I would think, are pretty similarly, but like I think as a movie itself, like I don't remember seeing this, like I don't remember when I saw this like in my like watching horror movies, but like I think it's kind of, I think again like it goes to like the actors and actresses parts, like they really brought in, like Kubrick and the producers and stuff, like really brought this movie, like they gave it like flesh and bones, like it really like, I think it does horror so differently, like comparatively to like maybe some other 80s films. I'm sure there's some horror movies that are like grossly underrated that I'm missing that really maybe can be compared to this one, but like there's not much that really has, I don't know, there's not a lot of movies that really call back to this film more than this. This is like the most, I mean, I'm trying to think of any more famous horror movie. Like,
I mean, and it's different too, because I think that like, it sounds like, at least from when you and I have talked about this, that you saw it relatively late. Like, this isn't one of the first horror movies that you'd seen. I think that like this one for me was one that kind of blew me away, because I don't even remember the first time I saw it. I don't know what the context was, but I just remember seeing it pretty early in my sort of formative years of what I thought was like, of just enjoying horror in general. But I really like this movie a lot. I love that there's not a concrete interpretation, that so much of this movie is about the way you feel versus the way that, like, trying to tie things together. Though I mean, I still think that part's interesting. I think that it is interesting to do. I think it's nice that you don't necessarily have to do one or the other to enjoy it. Boy, I mean, the one thing I thought about whenever we were watching this movie is just like, if you talk about the average horror movie today, even some of the better ones, like those movies are just like cut. This person's face, that person's face. This movie, I don't know of any horror movie that lingers so much on a shot.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, I think it's like the one like where they're walking up the stairs, like he's talking to Wendy, and he's like kind of like getting very. I mean, again, acting wise, very good. But the fact that like you said, like it just lingers on the same shot, like the back and forth. It just you don't have movies that do that anymore.
Yeah, it's like
they don't settle down. They just.
I think, I mean, and you were saying this earlier, it's a huge credit to Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to not have to do that because the actors are selling it so well.
Mm-hmm.
And one part where it really stuck out to me was whenever Jack is having his dream, he's like laying in front of the typewriter, he's got his head down, and he's screaming, and Shelley Duvall wakes him up, and he like falls to the floor, and usually some sort of abrupt sequence like that would be like cut. It'd be like a close-up of this person's face, anguish, it'd be like just all these like quick cuts to like keep the scene going. And it's just somebody who's just like exasperated talking about this horrible nightmare they had.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I think they had one cut in there, maybe two, but it was a 1 and 2 shot of like one angle where you see Jack's face primarily, and then another angle where you see Shelley Duvall's.
Yeah. No, that's a good, that's like, I think it's like really important, and I think that's what they aim to do is like, it's funny because like you measure like the length of a film in like moments almost, and like this one you can almost do that like scene by scene by scene by scene, like, or I should say by cut by cut by cut, because there's not that many cuts.
Yeah.
Like comparatively to other films.
I mean, don't you feel like whenever you're listening to, when they're doing, I mean, early in the movie, like almost like the first 10 minutes of the movie, where Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, and the character that plays Danny, they're driving up with this little yellow bug, and it's like, when you listen to Jack Nicholson talk, it's like he could snap at any moment. Yeah. It just looks like he is so already exasperated from his family talking about just the most like random stuff.
Yeah, I think, and that kind of goes into like what, kind of the theme, and I think the theme is so obvious here. It's like, it doesn't really need to be said, but it's clearly abuse. There's some type of like ongoing abuse, like, and maybe it's like this is the point where he just like caves into like his like true self. But with the, like the ongoing thing with like his son, like hurting his shoulder, he was a drunk, and then he did say at the very beginning, he was like, I don't, he told the manager, like, I don't drink, but it clearly like almost felt like a lie, because like you said, like he's just so uptight, like his character is like, you could just tell there's like anxiety. He's like riddled with anxiety.
Yeah, there's like layers upon layers of this movie of like different plot lines, and a big one is the abuse of like, this guy was drinking, he abuses his son, and he feels a tremendous amount of guilt. He feels like his wife is always going to bring it up, like always going to bring up that he tells Lloyd, the bartender, that he feels like, she's always holding it against him. He feels the pressure of not having alcohol by his side to help him, so he's like struggling with addiction. It's like you can kind of see for him just the world spiraling, like just it's so fragile, and at a moment's notice. I mean, just the fact that she comes in to this big gigantic room to ask how things are going while he's typing, and he just loses it.
Yeah, very, very. It's almost like it just makes you cringe a little bit. Like, like, oh my gosh, like, and it's almost embarrassing to think that like people talk like this to like their spouses, and it's just it's grossly uncomfortable. Like when you hear something like that, you're just like, oh my gosh, like you feel bad for his wife and for his son, and it's like you can see that he's like got good intentions, but at his core, like there's just like some ongoing manipulation, like mental abuse, emotional abuse, and actual physical abuse.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell that like for this person, they thought that therapy is not something I need. All I need to do is quit alcohol, and that will solve the problem, but not actually dealing with the actual stuff in their life.
I think that's why I am guessing that has something to do with like why he left Vermont, maybe, like, or at least some part of it, or
it could be,
or that he got fired. He was a teacher, but he's not a teacher anymore because of
abusing a child.
I'm sure it's in the book. I'm sure there's some like really deep stuff in the book about it, but
or just like socially humiliated. Maybe they leave because they feel like they can't sort of bear their faces around the people that they're around in their life. But it's funny because like in this movie he's so like, no, I signed a contract. We have to be here for this amount of time. I have so many things to do. I have so many things to take care of. And who's the one who does all the work is Shelley Duvall. Like, she's going to the boiler room. She's like, she's doing some work in the kitchen.
So it's I agree. I think there's just I don't know. It's just so many different elements to this movie that we could keep going on about, because like it's funny how I want to say like this film is not cut and dry by any means, but like how much content there is for such little time feels a little crazy to me, right? I mean I think that there's the little documentary thing I was talking about that has some pretty out there theories. I can't remember. I think it's called Room 237. And I feel like I've heard of that.
I remember watching some of it on a lark just for the hell of it, and it is some of the most. It is not the sort of like entertaining, like, what's your interpretation of the movie. I remember it being very like, that is the most outlandish bullshit I've ever heard. And I mean, maybe I would think differently. It's been many, many years since I've even tried it, but I just remember watching it, and it's just like a bunch of B-roll and people, like 3 or 4 different people giving their outlandish interpretation. It was just like, this sucks, dude. This is really shitty.
Yeah, there's no reason to go on. I mean, we can speculate, but I think the point is that there's no conclusion. You won't find out.
I think that these, it's funny because, like, I mean, this is, I believe, the one horror movie that Stanley Kubrick did, the one that's like would probably fit in the genre, like horror movie. But all of his movies have these sort of elements of like genuine fear and like it's pretty terrible. Like, I think that there are a lot of parts in 2001: A Space Odyssey. I think there's a lot of really scary parts in that movie, and same in Full Metal Jacket. Like that's another movie where it's just like genuinely terrifying.
I forgot he did that one.
But anyway, I thought this was great. I think seeing it in IMAX was pretty cool to do. I would say, if anything, it will give you a chance to see just the actors' pores, and you will become you'll get very close to a lot of these actors, uncomfortably close.
No, again, I think it's a good medium if you have the chance to see it. Otherwise, if you don't have a chance, I don't think it changes it too much necessarily, unless you just want to appreciate it for like IMAX. So
you would say what Ferris Bueller says. You'd say that if you have the means, I highly recommend it. That's exactly what
They
should put Ferris Bueller in IMAX.
I would watch it in an instant. I want to hear that music.
That actually would be really cool. They should do that.
That would be fun.
Anyway.
Well,
if it's in your area, check it out. If not, just rent the dang thing.
Rent the damn thing.